Come fly with me, let's fly away.
What's up? It's Kenny and Ian, and we're your hosts for Sports on the Fly. We take you all over the world of sports. From the NBA.
Then we're not going to get on the Cavaliers. We're not going to do that. I don't know if you wanted to do that, but we're not going to.
We're above that.
We are above that. We don't need. They're going to win. They're going to win games.
Right.
To the MLB.
I was intrigued by what you were saying with the Mets trying to get Cespedes from the Red Sox. I think he fits in beautifully there in left field.
I think so too, and I think that's your best bet if you're the Mets. It just depends on whether or not the Red Sox are willing trade partners. This could be an interesting situation where a three-team deal could really work out beautifully.
To the NFL.
Whoever wins that game is going to get the second wild card spot.
Wow. So you give the Bills the wild card even with that stretch at the end of the season in December.
Well, what I'm thinking is if they can win these next four, all of a sudden they're 9-3. An 11-win team makes the playoffs.
And to the NHL.
But it's also 3 days off, and then you're playing two of the best teams in the world. So 3 days off to get sloppy, 3 days off to get rusty, 3 days off to forget systems, 3 days off to forget pairings, stuff like that. And then you play two of the best teams in the world.
Join us every Friday at noon for Sports on the Fly with Kenny and Ian.
Come fly with me, let's fly, let's fly. Pack up, let's fly away.
And we are back with that. We finally got our promo working, Kenny. Right? That's nice. So, anyway, we are joined by John Killingback, Iona volleyball coach and devoted Seahawks fan. John, welcome aboard, and what are you looking forward to on Sunday?
Well, first off, thank you for having me. Sunday, it's got to be one of the best Super Bowl matchups we've had in the last few years. I think last year is the number one defense versus number one offense, but this year it's really two really good balanced teams, very good on both sides of the ball, going at it. And I think as a fan of sports in general, you should be excited because, let's be honest, by the kickoff return from Percy Harvin after second half last year, the rest of that game was kind of boring. So I think you're looking at a really good, really intense Super Bowl, and as a fan, I think that's all you asked for.
Well, I mean, you saw even just from the opening snap last year with the safety that Seattle was destined to win that game.
Yeah, destined. Showed some flaws at Denver. I think there's a lot of different things you can look at. I mean, the idea that Peyton Manning at that point in his career only was completing 26% of his throws past 10 yards. Well, you put that against a very fast, very athletic defense, and you're going to look really bad. And I think that's what we saw, but nobody want to talk about that because Peyton Manning walks on water.
Yes, he does. And he will continue to do so throughout the Hall of Fame and the afterlife and wherever else he goes. Right. But, John, you're a coach.
Yes.
Right? So you coach people. What is the difference between these two coaches and their philosophy that you can see just as a coach?
I would say the biggest thing is old school, new school. And that's interesting because Pete's the second oldest coach in the NFL. But Pete went down to the college, and the reason why he was successful at USC is because he made it a fun place people wanted to be at. All right? Confucius says if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I really believe most of those Seahawks come to practice every day and don't think of it as work. Where I think Belichick is completely the opposite way. It's 100% almost military-like. You got to be on time for meetings. You need to be here. If you're not, go home. If you're not going to do it our way, get out. And there's, great success on both sides of that. But it's really the old school, almost Bear Bryant, do it my way or get out. Or the flip side where it's Pete and they've got DJs at practice. Right. They have music blaring. He's fist pumping, chest pumping. Players, when they come off the field, he's excited to be there. They're excited to be there. And it's just two completely different sides of the coin.
And which school do you subscribe to? Are you a new school? You're an old school? Are you a middle school?
I try to do the middle. I try to make it a little more enjoyable for players. We do have music playing during dynamic stretching and stuff, but we go a little bit more, music off during the actual practice with the teaching going on. But it just as college athletics, it's a job.
Right.
The reality is our athletes here in all sports, not just volleyball, during their competitive season, they are committed to 20 hours a week with their sport. And like anybody else, that's a part-time job.
Yeah.
So, and so I'm a little bit in between both, but,
I lean
towards Pete because I think his players really like him. And I think Belichick earns respect because of how good Belichick is.
Yeah.
But I don't know if his players want to go have a beer with him.
Fair enough. Definitely a player's coach. I mean, Pete Carroll definitely classified as a player's coach. Now, I'm going to pose a question to both of you here. All right? So don't keep the claws away, gentlemen. Okay? So we are 2 days away. Opening kickoff. Over under 14 points for the Patriots.
You're killing me.
Yeah.
Because I came in with a final score, and I think gut says that it's over.
Okay. Sax? I assume you're going to say the same.
Yes.
Now, okay, so we're saying over 14 points. Now, I'm assuming nobody's saying over 28. That's chaos.
No.
Right.
Okay. So now we take a look at the Seattle Seahawks defense, 2014, 2015, and we take a look at the Bears from a while back, about 20 years ago, 1985. Those Bears classified as the best defense ever.
Right.
Right. The difference between these two teams is Seattle's a pass defense. The Bears were a sack the quarterback defense. Right. So when you look at those two defenses, can you compare them?
I think it's just hard to compare the league in general because in '85 it's not a throwing league, right? I mean, the quarterbacks back then. I mean, obviously you had Marino and you had Montana who are great, but nowadays, I mean, you have so many great quarterbacks in this league, and it's a passing league, and they changed rules to make it a passing league and to get scoring yards up. And I mean, think about this, and this is a whole different show, but a lot of people talk about Eli Manning as a Hall of Famer. I'm not in that boat, but if you look at his passing numbers, they beat every quarterback in the 80s. Does that mean he was better than every quarterback in the 80s? That's a whole nother discussion, but it's really hard to compare because Seattle's built to be fast and physical side to side.
Right.
They want to run the field side to side. Go ahead, go outside the tackles, and we'll take care of you. The Bears were just pin the ears back, go after the quarterback, and that was it.
Sax?
Yeah, the difference in both the league and the styles make it so difficult to compare these two. But then another thing that I look at is that with the Bears, they were on every single game that year. 15-1 in the regular season, and then of course rolling through and winning the Super Bowl
over the Patriots,
which that game, much like last year's Super Bowl,
foreshadowing
was just over. From the word go.
Yeah.
But I think that the Seahawks, the thing with them is that they don't do that on a regular basis. We don't see that fire and intensity and powering ability from the Seahawks every single Sunday. But they can do it on certain Sundays. And that's what has me scared as a Patriots fan. That this is just one game. All they need is one all-star performance from that, and that's it. Game over.
Well, before we dive into Patriots versus Seahawks, this is the one thing I'd say. I'd say if you're looking at a single year, 85 versus this year's Hawks defense, it goes to the 85 Bears. But take it as 2 years. The last 2 years Seattle defense, I think, is better than either the 84-85 Bears defense or the 85-86 Bears defense. Right. The 2 year span is better. So if you're looking for single year, I think 85 Bears get it. But if you're looking at a 2 year block, I think you're looking at Seattle as a better defense if you're looking at that 2 year
and especially block. If they come away with another Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If they come away with 2 Super Bowls. But they are pass first defense. Everybody can admit to that.
Yeah, but
especially, I mean, their secondary is
the secondary is where the money is.
Yeah.
The talent is there.
So is it easier to intercept deflated footballs? Is the question.
Well,
because if it's easier to catch, it's got to be easier to catch for both teams, right, Sax?
Well, deflated footballs are easier to throw.
So
they're more on target.
Right.
This is the whole thing about Deflategate, which I'm so happy we're almost at the football game.
Okay, so you're playing them.
Right.
What, like, were you fired up? Were you mad?
This is the thing that I would tell you, and this is how I work. I got a science degree. I'm very numbers-based. This is the thing I'll throw out to Ian, is we want to say this is a one-game thing. Okay, let's do a little research here.
Oh, boy.
Okay, last year, the New England Patriots running backs, the same running backs they have this year, fumbled the ball 10 times. 10 times. This year, they fumbled the ball 0 times. I truly believe Bill Belichick and his staff sat back and goes, we need to work on being better at not fumbling the ball. 10 put them in the bottom third of the league last year. Okay? 0 puts them at the top of the league. Okay? And I think somebody, I'm not saying Bill, but somebody goes, you know, if we take a little bit out, we can get it into our bicep a little bit better, get it under our arm a little bit better. And I think that's what I thought about. I think it's happened all year. I don't care what the penalty is. It was a rule. They broke the rule. I don't care. But I think it happened all year.
But what do you think about the rule in specific? Because the rule is such that it is almost comical in the fact that it's easy to break. And we talked about it last week, Ian, and I'll use the same analogy. It's like putting a child in a room full of balloons with a nail gun and then getting mad when the balloons pop.
It does not make any sense that the league says, here, the balls have to be this size, but you come up with the balls.
It's silly.
Everyone has said that, you know, every quarterback likes the ball a little differently, which is why the teams supply them. So if the NFL is going to say that the balls have to be a certain size, now that means that they're holding the teams up to honesty. But in a
competition, no way.
Exactly. In a win at all cost, money-driven league.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Exactly. So you mean to tell me that this is the first time that this has ever happened in the history of the NFL?
No. You were the first that got caught.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. And
did they get caught because they got caught, or did they get caught because it's Bill Belichick, Tom Brady?
I think Spygate hurt him. Yeah. I think they had a bad history. Strike one was already on the books. And I think people had started to let that go. I mean, it had been years since we had heard about Spygate again, right? And then this comes up, and all of a sudden now, well, he's a cheater again. And I think you got caught. I think there's other teams in the league that do it. But the reality is they sat there. They had the camera evidence of their paid employee taking the balls into the bathroom and doing whatever with them, okay? But they wanted to sit up there the day before, and Robert Kraft goes, the NFL owes us an apology. It wasn't Bill's fault. Well, I'm sorry. It's still your organization.
Yeah, I mean, the buck stops with Bill at all times, you know, with any coach.
Right.
I mean, if anything happened on your staff, I'm sure the buck would stop with you. You know, that's how it goes. It's the head coach's responsibility to be in charge of everybody underneath him or her. So the idea, though, I see the ball boy taking the balls into the bathroom thing is like totally absurd to me. Like,
but what's funny is he took the Colts balls too.
Yeah, he's got everybody's balls in the bathroom because you know why? He probably didn't want anybody to deflate the balls while he was in the bathroom.
Right.
But then another thing is the referees check the balls 2.5 hours before kickoff.
I don't know.
That leaves 2.5 hours. They should check the balls when they're on the field and they're lining up for the national anthem so that there's no...
And what was it? One ball was...
One out of the
12 where it was not deflated? Right?
Yeah.
So those 11 balls that were used, right, or however many they used, didn't, at one point, a referee threw a ball off the field. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
so what? The other 10 weren't as deflated? They weren't as noticeably deflated?
I think this is where the NFL's got to decide. Is they have to go one of two ways with this rule. They either have to make it stricter, and it's like, you get this ball out of the box how we give it to you.
Yeah.
Or you say, you know what? We want our athletes to perform at the highest of their athletic ability. You know,
That's
Tom
fair.
Brady, softer balls, Aaron Rodgers, harder balls, whatever it is. And we don't care anymore.
That's fair. You know what? Either way is fair. But I think if you look at the wide range of sports around the world, they give you a ball and you use it. You know, you freeze the ball, you freeze the puck in hockey. If you're in Coors Field, you put the ball in the humidor before you go out in Colorado. If you're a basketball team, you get a ball and you use it. You know, if you're in tennis, you get a ball and you use it. Granted, you get to pick which ball you use.
That's true.
But they give you the balls.
You know, and the other thing that I think hurts a little bit is this didn't used to be the rule. You didn't, as an offense, get to bring your own ball. But you know who pushed for it? Tom Brady. Yeah, he is the one that pushed for that rule to be changed.
I don't blame him. Look at him. 4 Super Bowls.
All right, let's talk about the game, though.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the game. So, we're 2 days away. Opening kickoff, 8 o'clock, right? 8 o'clock Eastern time?
6:30.
What is that about? 6:30
You're going
on
West Coast,
Sunday.
I guess.
Yeah, who knows? Anyway, so 6:30 Sunday is kickoff. What are you looking for, John, offensively, out of the Seahawks?
This is the thing that I don't get, is everybody all week has picked the Patriots, and that's fine. You have everyone's opinion's their opinion. But everybody is bashing Seattle's offense. Okay? Seattle runs for 5.3 yards per run. New England runs for 3.9. Yards per throwing attempt, because everyone says Seattle's pass offense is horrible. Passing attempt, Seattle 7.7 yards per offense, New England 7.1. So in both categories, running and throwing, we get more yards per attempt. I don't know why everyone assumes we're a horrible offense. Now, that being said, this is the key to the game. Inside the tackles. Both teams. Inside the tackles is, can Marshawn Lynch run in between the tackles against Vince Wilfork and his group? And can the Seattle defense / the New England Patriots offense, can Seattle's defense hold down the quick slants in the middle of the field? That's truly it. The first 10 yards. Can we stop or slow that down? That's the game. That's where it's going to be decided. Right there, in between the tackles.
And Zach, so defensively, do you agree with that assessment?
Yes, because the Seattle passing game, now granted that was a very interesting statistic with the 7.7 yards per
Came prepared.
But the passing game doesn't scare me that as much as the running game does, because the New England secondary, you have Darrelle Revis, who will likely be matched up with Doug Baldwin, who is the biggest threat in the Seattle passing game. But I think that Marshawn Lynch, however much he can get, is how the Seattle offense is going to go.
Can I ask you a question about your pass defense?
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone's talking about how great the New England pass defense is, right? Okay. So what are they ranked? They're ranked 17th in the league in passing yards given up. Okay. Right. They've played 6 good quarterbacks, and that's if you can't count Andy Dalton. Okay.
I don't know if I count that.
Right. So 5, 6, somewhere in there. He was a playoff quarterback. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Seattle, number 1 against the pass. They played 6 good quarterbacks, and their questionable one is Cam Newton.
Tim Tebow was a playoff quarterback, too.
Well, that is true.
Okay.
So everyone talks about New England's pass defense. Okay. How many interceptions did they have?
Oh, boy.
They had 16.
Zach's getting run over here, bro.
Seattle's pass defense had 23. So New England averaged less than a pick a game. They're 17th in the league in passing yards given up. Okay. And now let's talk about the run defense.
Oh, boy.
Okay. So,
oh, no.
So New England comes in, and they're good. Okay. They're 9th in the league against the run. Okay. But you realize they've played 0 of the top 6 NFL rushers this year? 0.
Well,
and they've only played 3 out of the top 10. Okay. Seattle, who was number 1 in the pass defense, is number 3 against the rush. Okay. But they've played 2 of the top 3 rushers in the league. And they've played 4 out of the top 9. So I'm sitting here as a Seattle fan. I was really nervous until I looked at the stats. And I can't find a statistical category where we lose.
Right, but then you also have to look at it that the game isn't played on paper.
This is true. I 100% agree.
Man, trust me, I'm a Mets fan. I know all about that.
Have they won a game?
Yeah, I don't think so. Not on paper nor the field.
Trust me, 2 Super Bowls against the Giants where we were better in every single statistical category except points on one given Sunday. On one given Sunday, twice. And all of a sudden, the Giants are the team of the decade.
So, yeah, let's not start that either because I'm with you on that. So let's look at it this way.
Boys.
Okay, so stats, they're on paper. They are what they are. That's actually why you made a comment earlier, and I agree, but the opposite way is I'm scared for one game. Okay? If this is 10 games, I think, honestly, Seattle wins 7 out of 10. But it's one game. Okay? It's one trick play from Belichick and his chalkboard. Okay? Or Seattle throwing for a fake punt or a fake field goal when we're getting destroyed by the Packers. Okay? And I honestly believe that Seattle got destroyed by the Packers, came back to win. No one wants to give them credit for that. Okay? And yet, everyone jumped off their bandwagon. Everyone on TV, everyone everywhere else is going with the Pats because they destroyed the Colts. Guess what? The Colts aren't good. Okay? Andrew Luck is good. The Colts aren't good. Okay? And so, Seattle, Russell Wilson, 4 picks. 2 of them bounced off his receiver's hands. That is not Russell's fault. Okay? He still let him down for the game-tying drive and the game-winning drive. Do you realize in 16 games on the regular season, he only had 7 picks? Okay? Tom Brady, who's a better quarterback. I will admit this. He is a better throwing quarterback than Russell Wilson. All right? He's out there, and he had 9 picks this year. So he threw for more picks than Russell Wilson.
Well, you know why that is? That's because not in every game the balls weren't deflated.
No, and I will tell you this. Stats are what you make them. Okay?
Right.
Tom Brady has a better interception per attempt ratio.
Right,
Okay? Because he's throwing a lot more than Russell Wilson. Okay?
Right.
Tom Brady's a better inside the tackle quarterback, the pocket quarterback. But you know what? Russell Wilson's not. And that's okay for us because you know what his rushing average is? 8.9 yards per attempt. 8.9 yards for a quarterback? You know, he reminds me a lot of Randall Cunningham way back in the day. You know, and so I will take Russell Wilson because guess what? Our offensive line is bad. Okay? I'm not here to deny that. Our offensive line is horrible. Okay? But with Russell, we have a chance.
Right.
Just like, and this jumps onto the New York media for a second, Eli's amazing if you listen to the radio around here. Okay? But they bash Russell Wilson, and I'm like, you understand with your offensive line you have here in New York, you guys would be better with Russell Wilson because he can move out of the way.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, and then you got to let me defend my boy for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just pounce all over him. I mean, he's a pocket quarterback. You know, you give Tom Brady that offensive line, and he's going to be almost as bad as Eli Manning.
I 100% agree.
But we're not we're not there yet. And teams, you've got to rebuild. I'm a Mets and Islanders fan. Okay, so I know all about I know all about the rebuilding process and being patient. Okay, you've got to take your hits so you can make your plays later on.
Yeah.
All right,
100% agree.
So you've got to lose a few games so you can win a bunch later on.
Right.
And I'm sure you know as a coach and as a
Mariners
recruiter,
fan,
that you need to, that not every year you're going to have an all-star team.
Yeah. And that's just the flow of sports.
That's just sports.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it fun for everybody because there are years where the Astros are going to go to the World Series.
Yeah.
Or if you listen to the media, it's the Cubs this
Or
year.
it's the Cubs, yeah. Because John Lester is going to win 48 games.
It's amazing.
Ugh. I hate the Cubs. I don't want them to win in my lifetime. I'm like one of those, I want to go an entire lifetime without the Cubs coming away with a World Series title. I want to be the generation that did not see them win forever.
Well, you're 22 years in?
Yeah, and I'm only 22 left, I think. I don't care.
So let me tell you one other thing I think is going to be important in this game. Penalties. Okay? Seattle's the most penalized team in the NFL. Okay? But the Patriots have extended drives 45 times due to penalties this year when Seattle's only done it 32 times. So Seattle gets penalized more, but usually they're not the one that gives the first down. The Pats have done that 45 times. Yep. I truly, truly believe this. I think it's a one-score game, and I think it's the team that comes away with not less penalties, but less first down penalties that wins this game.
What's your final?
My gut is putting it 20-17 Seattle. I think it's a field goal game early. One team's going to get 2 touchdowns. One's going to get 1.
I think Ian's got 2017 Pats.
I've got 2017 Seattle.
Oh! Whoa!
Thing.
Wow.
Ian, you can't pick against your own team. That's like a cardinal sin, dude.
I'm sorry. I am praying to the hilt that the Patriots win because I do not want to live through another Super Bowl loss. Two is more than enough for one lifetime. But I just think that Seattle...
Wow.
I didn't see that coming.
Me neither. Are you allowed to do that? I think your fan card just got revoked. You got to take that shirt off, Ian.
You know what it is? He's a broadcaster. You're allowed to do that when you're a broadcaster.
It's fair, I guess. But this is WICR, man. Bleed red and blue, will you?
I do.
Well, I don't think so.
But
I think you're bleeding teal.
But it's just...
Change it right now. Say what you mean.
Look, if I was betting on happiness, then I would say Patriots 45-3 like they did the Jets a few years ago.
Oh wow.
Way to get that
Shots
New York shot in there. Yeah.
Jeez.
No, I just think it's going to be close.
It's just in my mind, I just do not see how the Patriots are going to come away with it. Yes, they have their offense is so multi-dimensional that, just looking at their few playoff wins. Their 2 playoff wins this year. Running for 14 yards against the Ravens and then putting up 170 against the Colts. Just the way that they can win in so many different ways. But I think that Seattle just can turn it on at the flip of a switch, and they have to do that for 60 minutes, and they win a second Lombardi trophy. And I think that that's what they're going to do. And in the last 11 years, 7 times the Super Bowl champion won their conference title game by a closer margin than their opponent.
Yeah, that's a great stat.
That's a cool stat.
That's the best stat I've heard all week.
So
you've been throwing out some good ones.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody's been talking about the Patriots look unstoppable with the way that they demolished the Colts. Well, 2 out of every 3 the last 11 years, the winner of the Super Bowl has been the closer game.
Considering Seattle got through San Francisco last year with a tipped play, that's scary.
That was wild.
Right. So I mean, you have a close game like that. Then the 2 times the Giants won, it was in overtime.
Yeah.
You have the Saints; they beat the Vikings in overtime. So,
all right.
I see what you're saying. In the last 8 years, 3 times the team that won the conference title game in overtime went on to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
And I've lived through 2 of those, and I'm afraid I'm going to see a 3rd one.
Well, I'm not saying that we hope that it doesn't happen. I'm just saying we hope you're okay if it does. Now,
I will still be alive on Monday.
All right, good.
Either way.
That's important.
That is very important.
Because we can't do the show with just me, because people would turn it off. I guarantee it.
I'll fill in.
Thank you.
There you go.
So we've talked a lot about deflated footballs. We've talked about penalties. We've talked about the defenses, the offenses. Ian thinks his own team is going to lose, whatever. So we're here now, and just a general NFL question. How hard is it being a diehard fan of a team? Because I'm a Giants fan, but I'm not a Giants fan. Like, cool, go Giants, but whatever. Islanders, Mets, hockey, baseball, that's all I really subscribe to. So, hockey playoffs, best 4 out of 7 all the way through. The intensity is off the charts. It's wild. It's insane. It's crazy. I love it. Football, though, I can't even imagine the one-and-done scenario that you guys have to go through. And you guys have talked about one game. Maybe Marshawn Lynch breaks his toe and can't make a cut down the right side. Like maybe Tom Brady falls weird and can't play in the second half. And it's only one game that matters. So I can't even imagine the emotional roller coaster that both of you are going to be on in 48 hours.
Let's put it this way. Last weekend or 2 weekends ago, when I'm losing to Green Bay, I didn't talk to my wife during halftime.
I'm sure she really liked that.
And probably did, okay? And my mom texts me going, can I talk to you later tonight? I'm like, I text back, only if we win.
Okay.
Like, that's how crazy it is, right, Ian? I mean, you're so focused and you're so into it, and when you lose, you don't want to talk to anybody. Yeah. Like, and it's actually funny. They did a study that showed more men have heart attacks this was over in England, during their soccer club's matches than any other day of the week.
See, I felt like I'm going to have a heart attack in 2013 when the Islanders were in the playoffs, and I was there as Game 3. It's Game 3. There's nothing like, if we lose, we'll get them next time. If we win, cool, but they can get us next time. I thought, honestly, that and granted, I eat my fair share of Big Macs, but I thought that it was going to happen.
Yeah, and you know what? Just sidestep for 1 second. Hockey playoffs, overtime hockey playoffs.
Oh, I don't want to talk
Nothing
about
else is better.
We went to overtime.
Nothing else.
That's what I thought I would.
Yeah,
and my friend is sitting next to me. Listen to this. We're sitting in the last row of the stadium. That's all I could afford. We're sitting in the last row of the stadium, and this jerk sitting next to me, who I bought with me, goes, I hope we go to double overtime. And every single person within 2 rows just looks back at him with this look of, what? Get out. Go away. What is wrong with you?
Yeah. I mean,
my gosh.
Yeah. So for me, it's you live or die that day.
Yeah.
And and I mean.
Yeah. Sharing my story from this year's playoffs. In the game against the Ravens, which at the beginning of the playoffs I said the Ravens are the team that scared me the most in the AFC without a doubt.
Right.
I say I don't want to play them. I'll play anyone else. And then, of course, when they of course they beat the Steelers, and I'm like, oh great, they're coming to Foxborough. So there was an Iona game that day. So I was working the game. So I recorded. I recorded the game, and now I happen to hear the final score before I had a chance to watch the game that night. So then I'm watching the game, and I see the Patriots go down 14-0 like that. And I say to myself, thank God I know what the final score is, because if I don't, I'm sprawled out right now.
Yeah.
Down 14-0 in the first quarter.
See, and I'd be the opposite. I'd be like, in my head, be like, did I really hear the score right? What if I heard it wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what if it was the other way? What if the guy messed up when he told me what the final was?
Yeah.
But we were talking about it earlier, and sports are supposed to be fun, right? And this was our opening conversation. Sports are supposed to be fun. So how do you, the people who fight at sports games, like the brawlers, like really?
No.
So how do you make sure that you, even as a coach, because if I was a coach, I would be, like all over the place. Referees, other coaches, fans, scorekeepers named Ian, I would be all over the place. I don't know how you keep it intact. So how do you just keep it all inside, and then when you get home, you just kind of punch a wall a few times?
I don't want to speak for all coaches. Right. I have my own coping mechanism, and my wife knows it very well, that I go from quiet to upset to motivated. Okay, so if I lose. If our team loses, okay, I go into a quiet phase. I don't speak for like 4 hours. Okay. And then I get very motivated, or get angry, and then I get very motivated. And that's when you get these coaches like me that are up at 2 a.m. after the game breaking down film, because now you're motivated going, where did we fail? How do we get better?
And your wife is just hoping that she falls asleep during the quiet stage.
No, my wife's like, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So she just goes to bed anyway.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. John, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, guys.
It means a lot that you came on. Good luck to you boys out there on Sunday.
Yeah.
And hopefully Ian's score is correct for you.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. I'll give you all the credit if I have. So, thank you, guys.
All right, John. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Hi, this is Victor Cruz, Super Bowl champion New York Giants, and I got to get my ICTV.